time. Boom. We are live. What's up, Jennifer?
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, I don't know if you noticed.
I know.
I did.
First of all, I got blast. I got him on blast on my text messages, so I got a little early glimpse of all of this.
Yeah, I got my hat. Shout out to my buddy Pete Lopez. Like I made the post, right, of the finalized the logo that we worked
Yep.
together. Alt CMO, shout out. Um, and then I get a text from Pete, and Pete's like, "Hey, bro, I'm gonna get you some stickers." I said, "Oh, okay." And then he said, "What's your address?" I said, "Man, I'm gonna be in DFW." All right, well, let's meet. And then we met. He gave me caps. He made me some caps, like just samples, high visibility shirts, hoodies, the safety vest. I'm like, damn, it was Christmas time for me. So I gotta sport the depth builder swag.
Yes.
And so of course I'm super.
I got stickers. You left me stickers, and Rachel gave them to me. So thank you very much.
Yes, yeah, I got to give out the stick. Perfect timing. I was in DFW to do the SQI workshop. First one, it was a success from my perspective.
Nice.
And so I got to give out stick, like it was the ultimate. So I guess all that to say, I am riding high today, Jen. How are you?
I'm doing really good. It's been a week. It's like I was going back and looking because I usually can tell how my week goes by going back and looking at my pictures, because usually I'll take pictures of people that I got to hang out with and do stuff with. And I was all over the place this week. So even though I didn't have to travel, which is always a good week when I can kind of reset, but I had, I think 2 or 3 lunches. I had a breakfast. I had a couple of events that I was able to participate in. So it was interesting for me, not a travel week, but yet I was very engaged in a lot of different things this week. So it was good.
Yeah, well, didn't you speak at your alma mater?
I did. You see my new shirt? Look at this.
You see that? Yeah, all Lions, all in.
Yes. So I got asked, this was really cool. So I got asked to come in and sit on a panel to speak with other student athletes, people that are already in the business world but they were student athletes in school. So they were in college and they were doing a sport and going to school. And so they asked me to come and sit on a panel with the other ones that are already in the business world, that to talk to their student athletes about the transition from college to the industry, but mainly like, what are those skills that you're learning as a student athlete that you can then apply on a resume, or you can apply in an interview to kind of help transfer, those things. Because really, like, if you're on a scholarship, like it's a job, like you're literally getting paid to do something. And it's weird because people don't think about it because you're playing sports, but like you're getting paid and you have obligations and you have responsibilities and you have, and then you're an athlete. So then it's the skills that go along with being on a team and being responsible and being up at 5:30 in the morning. But and so kind of answering questions for them on how can you transfer? How does that translate into going into the workforce? So it was a really cool conversation.
I bet you rocked their socks, Jennifer.
It was a lot of fun, and it was and it kind of fed a little bit into our conversation today, because like we had some questions already they already had them prepped up, like, hey, these are some questions we're going to ask you, and then we got to take questions from the students, and some of their questions, you could tell it was almost like, but like what if we're just lost and we don't know what to do. Like it's one of those, it kind of goes into that. Okay, you can feed people a lot of information, but is it what they need?
Are they ready for it? Do they even want it?
Yes. So okay. It was good. It was good. It was kind of then we got to address those questions, but they weren't in the canned questions that we were prepped with.
Oh man, I'm loving. All right, we got to give some love to our folks, the tribe out there that's jumping in the comments. I can see Lance. Lance is on, but he's not coming through.
Okay.
Love you, Lance. We got Nick. She says, like the swag. And Nick we're steadily clipping away at the
what's your book?
Love Affair anthology. She is the we'll say the orchestrator of all of that. So keep an eye out for that, y'all. And then we got Miss Megan. She's up.
Good morning.
Yes. Super early. What's up?
I know. Girl? We got to talk to her this week on the phone. We got to talk and collaborate on some stuff. So that was super exciting.
Nice. Were you sad when you had to tell her that you weren't coming to Savannah?
Oh my gosh, it was, and so it was a good conversation because, and I didn't tell you, but it was, so I had an obligation, and when I like try to make things work. So I'm like, yes, this is 3-4 months out. Absolutely, I'm going to be there, and so I was excited about it. Put it on the calendar, and a couple weeks ago, people in my house were looking at the calendar. They're like, are you out of town here? And I'm like, well, that whatever. And as I'm looking at the calendar, because I already wrote it, I'm like, oh, yeah, my oldest daughter turned 16 right at that time, like that day. And I'm like, no, I'm not out of town that day. Like, I'm here. What are you talking about? And so it was like my brain did not put it together when I wrote it on the calendar like 2 months ago. Yet
Right.
all of a sudden people are looking at the calendar and they're like, wait, are you not here? And I'm like, no, that's wrong. That is not right at all. And I'm like, sorry, I'm not going to be able to be there.
I love it.
But we did pitch and talk about, she's in California and we're in California in next month. And so she is going to make a trip and come hang out with us.
Ooh, San Diego, baby. One more again. I love it. I love it. So, folks, y'all want to come meet Miss Megan in real life? We're going to be in Savannah here in a couple of weeks doing LinkedIn in real life. And then we got the ultra troublemaker, Mr. Jim Guntorius, coming in from the back in Dallas. I got to hang out with him and got some blooper content, blooper video of me interviewing him there at the Breakthrough Builders event that we did last week. It was freaking fire, man. The people that showed up were like, it was real. They brought their game. We did it at Hilti headquarters. It was awesome. Super awesome. Nice. And then we got Mr. Craig. What's up, Craig? Good morning.
Good morning.
I'll be interviewing him pretty soon. So how about Miss Norma? You know Miss.
Oh my gosh, that was one of my lunches, my brunches this week. She's one of my new connections. Yes. Right. And so and it was even cooler because I got to, she's local. So I got to connect with her and we got to have brunch at an amazing place that Buddy and I always went to breakfast for. So it was really cool. So it made me feel good. And then I got to talk to her. And from that conversation, she the stuff that she does with Strength Finders and helping people kind of lean into their passions and stuff, I got her connected to an internal group with Robbins and Morton. And now she's going to get to help support our women's network and stuff. So it was really, really cool. So cool. I know, right?
So cool. Yes. And then we got my brother, the poet. He says, coming in from Studio GLB in San Antonio. What's up, Ernest? And then we got the chief marketeer who recently won the Randomizer Award and got to hang out with us on the Cultivation Through Storytelling. Mr. Steve Martin in the house. What up, Steve?
Are you going to tell him what that is, Jesse?
Tell him what?
The Randomizer.
Oh, what is that? So, folks, first, what that is, Steve Martin is awesome. That's what it is. Yes. He's our chief marketeer. But as you drop your comments in the chat, you are going to be automatically put into a raffle that we will run towards the top of the hour. We'll do the little raffle and your name will be selected. The name that gets selected is going to get invited to the October Cultivation Crew and Emotional Bungee Jumper. So you'll get to come and hang out and get like a full in-person immersive experience of what that is, the soft skills and the hard skills. You're going to be able to be a part of all of that. And all you got to do is make a comment. Let us know you're here. Put something in the chat and that'll put you in the raffle. And then I'll follow up and chase you down and make sure you get the information you need to be there. And I think Steve had some fun and he definitely contributed. So it's a good deal. And then we got, this guy?
I do. And we get to celebrate him too. There's so many things that have happened in the last 2 weeks. So last week I was up, I think it was last week. My weeks get crazy. Not this past week, the week before I was up at his job site and Jason Schroeder came and he got to walk and see all the amazing things Josh is doing on his job site. And he got like 2 podcasts. He got 4 or 5 superintendent videos that have already been pushing out and been publishing on LinkedIn. So if you are not following him, follow him. But also like there's so much content right now just from like a day. Jason came and spent a day and Jason does a really good job capturing things, but he got to celebrate Josh a lot. And I know Josh, he's very humble, but I know that it was awesome to be able to let people see some of the stuff kind of behind the curtains. So yes, happy he's here this morning.
You know what excited me about that whole deal is when you told me that Josh was going to be super intentional now about producing content on the intangible things that he's doing, and he's going to be posting like crazy. So go get it, baby.
I mean, he was doing none. So I'm saying, like, my challenge to him was like, he reposted one of Jason's podcasts. So it's like, it was just like, okay, he's getting out of his box. So like, okay, maybe gonna have a little bit of cadence here and share some stuff every once in a while.
Gotta light that fire, baby. That's what it's about.
Yes.
All right, Jen. Folks, again. Oh, wait. We got to do the heads up for the workers and the new people.
Okay. Yes. So, and I know there's some names out there. So this is for y'all if this is your first time on the show this morning. So what we would like for you to do is, if you are first time on the show typing and you've already given us comments, which is amazing, or if you're kind of out there in the background and you're used to just coming in and listening to us and you don't really contribute, and maybe that's where you want to stay, and we're okay with that. But if you will, in the comments, just drop a blue heart, and it's a right click. You go to emojis and put a blue heart, or just type blue heart. We don't care. But that signals a couple of things for us. So number one, a blue heart is letting people know that are already part of our tribe and our community, hey, here's a new person. And then that gets them an opportunity to go and connect with you, follow your content and things like that. And then it also kind of lumps you in and allows us to be able to celebrate you and let you know that you are not out there all by yourself, and that we so appreciate you being here and joining us in this conversation.
Oh, well said, Jennifer Lacey. And again, if you choose blue hearts, but if you choose not to comment, that's okay, because we love the lurkers too.
Yes, we do love the lurkers too.
Know you're watching. And so people showed up for something, right? Not just to hear us brag about.
What are we talking? Yes, Norma, thank you for the blue heart.
Oh yeah, there he is. You already know what to do. Find her, follow. Uh-oh.
You got to hang out with Demetria this week.
I got to hang out with Demetria. She brought it too. Heck yeah. What's up, sister? We about to have some fun.
Yeah. So what are we talking about today?
I don't know. All I want to know is, did I spell everything right on the banner?
You did, which I'm super impressed with, because
watch out. So the title is, who is your unsolicited advice for? Mm-hmm. And this conversation, we had, like always, we do the live stream and then we have the after party right after it. And the conversation was awesome. The live stream was awesome last time, for me anyways. And then this was kind of the theme that came out of those two conversations. Who is your unsolicited advice for? And for me, when you and I were kind of debriefing and talking through the whole thing, I'm very critical about people that give unsolicited advice, right? Like, I'm very judgy about it. But then when I started thinking, it's like, why do they do that? Because is it about me or is it about them? Do they have an unfulfilled need, or maybe just like a real human need that they're trying to fill by showering me with all of their wisdom and insight? And so that's kind of, in my head, that's where I'm coming from. I got a bunch of different ways to think about it. But what about you, Jen? What do you remember? How did we get to this point?
I think that, and that's a good kind of way to segue into some of the other conversations you and I had, because it's, and I used, hopefully it's not, he may be on this morning, I don't care, but I use my brother as an example of, he loves me and he cares about me. And I know he knows like my body of work and my knowledge, but for whatever reason, he always needs, he feels like he is compelled to like continue to give me advice on things that I probably have, I know I have more knowledge on than he does. And so it's like, it's this thing. It's not just like, hey, I need to tell you how to do better because you need my advice. It's also those people out there that, and maybe you're one of them. So I want you to stop and think about it too. But like, when you're in a conversation with people, are you just like adding on and going and helping them do something that if you just stopped and didn't talk and just observed, they would absolutely be able to do what you're asking them to do? And that it gets me like, am I doing, it makes me be more self-aware than just, hey, stop giving me advice. Hey, I don't need it. I like not even thinking about the other people, but thinking about myself. And am I feeding into that problem?
Oh my goodness. Yes. Oh, okay. So we got another blue heart. We got to give the blue heart some
Yes.
love. Mr. Frank Gustafson, good morning. Thanks for jumping in the chat. Just so you know, that puts you in the randomizer, and you are now eligible for the raffle at the end of the call to come and hang out with us on the cultivation crew. And everybody else, blue heart, follow him. Sigilo. Give them a comment, give them support from today and on going forward.
Yes.
And Nick she's saying, this unsolicited advice thing is kind of funny. So I want to ask, I'm going to post a question for the tribe to answer. And then let's just dive into it. So the question for the tribe, let us know in the comments, sanitize it as much as you need to. You may not be okay with like calling out your brother like Jen just did. Is who are those people around you that can't help but solutionize you every chance they get? Because there's another piece to this question, right? Is like they can't help but do it. They think they're doing well. We don't really understand why. But it causes, I think, a fracture. It causes a divide for me, like 100%, and like weakens the relationship or the connection that I have with that human being. And so I want you to think about it. If you need to bulk them into like work friends and personal friends, you can do that. If you want to like drop names or nicknames, whatever. But who are those people around you that can't help but solutionize you every chance they get? And if it's you, maybe drop a little winky eye emoji, right? Like we won't tell
asking
anybody.
For a friend.
Asking for a friend. There you go. Right out of the gate, Megan says, "It's me. I'm the solutionizer. I'm the problem." So Jen, let's start here. What does it make you feel like? Like, how do you feel for real inside when you're in that situation where somebody is showering you with all of their wisdom and all of their insight, and you didn't even ask for it? You didn't even invite it in. They just came at you and started giving you advice.
There's two things I think that I deal with when I'm in those situations. Number one is based on kind of the context and content that happened up until that point. They're not listening. They're not listening to what I'm saying, and they're not listening to the conversation. They're just almost ready to jump in when they get a space or when I take a breath to be able to give me what they already think I need to hear. So there's that part. And then the other part is, I think when they're doing it, I also, and I'm doing better, because before it was just like, they're just stupid. Like, why are they doing that? But then it got me, and then I'm doing, like, you've helped me. Like I reflect a little better now, and I don't just say things like that out loud. And so, but then I stop and I think about who they are, what their position is, how has my engagement been with them, how many reps do we have with each other? Have we had some conflict in the past? It makes me go through and think about, are they trying to validate? Are they trying to show their credentials? Are they trying to, let me know that they have, the perception is that they know and they have knowledge, and they need to embark that knowledge onto me to help me grow. Sometimes it's a little janky and it gets all crazy in my head, but I start really trying to understand why they are doing it. And when I can get clear on that, and sometimes these are people above me, beside me. These are people that most of the time, and I'm not going to say all the time because I have so much more to learn, but a lot of the times, these are people that don't have the body of work or the knowledge that I have about the things that I talk about. And so, and I know that, so I don't need to go, hey, wait a minute, I know more than you. Like, I don't need to say that because I know it. And so then it's like, okay, what are they trying to do? And most of the time, they just want to feel like they're valued. Like I need to be able to go, oh my gosh, that is a great idea. And that's something that I didn't think about. And then I can just see, like, then it's like, then they feel like, okay, they're warranted to be in this conversation. And then it makes me think myself, what am I doing to make people feel like they have to do that?
That's a good question. That's a
Oh, I know,
really,
right?
really, yeah. I think it's an important question.
Yeah.
Um,
So anyway, where I'm at.
Yeah. So we got some good
Okay.
comments. I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna go to the comments because the comments are like meaty, and we're gonna be a lot
Okay.
of comments around it. For me, when I'm being solutionized or when I'm receiving unsolicited advice, almost exactly like you, it's like, oh, you didn't even listen to what the hell I said. Because if you did, you would know I didn't ask you for advice. A. B. I feel judged. I
Okay.
feel like the person is giving me advice because they think I don't have the capability or the wherewithal to work through the damn thing on my own. I feel like they think I'm less than because for whatever reason they got to hold my hand and tell me how to do the thing. And I know that's all about me.
Right. Right.
But the point is this: I avoid people that solutionize me. I actively avoid spending time with them. I will minimize the amount of contact I have with them because it irritates me.
Mhm.
And I have a very low threshold for those types of things. And at some point I'll snap back, and I don't want to like sever
Right.
the relationship entirely. And the reason I want to share that with people is if you are a compulsive solutionizer or advice giver, gifter, there's a possibility that you're dealing with sensitive people like me that are being offended by your advice.
Mhm.
And I know that's not the intent, right? Like that's really, really not the intent, but it could be the outcome. And
Mhm.
maybe I'm the only hypersensitive person here. It will be the outcome with me. So is that too sensitive, Jen?
No, and I've watched some of this happen that like you can hang out with Jesse and you can have fun, and when you don't hear back from him and he doesn't respond to you anymore, like stop and like do a little bit of self-assessment. Like, how did the conversation go? What did I say? What did I do? And sometimes it's Jesse. Like, I'm just gonna say sometimes it's Jesse because you didn't have the right cake or you didn't take him to the right restaurant. But most of the time, like if he kind of backs off a little bit, there was something in the conversation that he's like, I don't want to have more of those type of conversations.
Mhm. Thank you for that, Jen.
You're welcome.
So we're going to start with my brother Ernest, which
Okay.
and this good because this gives us insight. Like, where does that advisor, solutionizer behavior come
Mhm.
from? And so, super vulnerable share. He says that's been true for me in some cases. Never having been a father, I do have a need to impart something. Moreover, I often have blind spots, and others may too. What do you think, Jen?
No, I completely agree. I think that there are a lot of our advice, a lot of our one advice that we give, but also the avenues that we're allowed to give and we are need to be given are because of our experiences. And so
Yeah.
there are things that like because I have two teenage girls. I get to give advice every day, like whether I want to or not. Like I get to help guide them and direct them and also like redirect them. And so that avenue for me is like an everyday thing. And sometimes because I have that, I'm a little more understanding when I'm out in at work and I'm listening to people and but it makes complete sense that if you don't have an avenue, and you and I talk about whether it's your tribe or your people around you or your board of directors, if you don't have this avenue to go and have these real conversations and to kind of be able to share, but also receive, like you will put it in places that it is not needed.
Yes. Don't put it where it don't belong. Wink, wink. I'm just gonna leave that there. So Craig, oh man, so far we got 10 people. Their name are in the randomizer. I'm excited. So Craig says, many of us are fixers. Think of a work incident. The alphas jump to the solutions before we even know the real causes.
Do you know you have any experience with that, Jess?
Oh, girl. So, and I love it. So, Craig is a
Mhm.
freaking super people first safety professional,
Mhm.
right? Now, and I have these conversations with a lot of like influential people with a lot of responsibility in organizations, especially when we're doing like the emotional bungee jumpers and we're trying to break the habit of solutionizing and add the tool of asking interested questions. People automatically think, well, then you can't solutionize. Like, no. There's an appropriate time. And I think kind of like your little statement earlier about, is it the right place? And so if somebody is within 6 foot of the edge of a building and they're not tied off, I don't need to open-ended question them back to safety.
Correct. You don't need to ask them, why would you choose not to put a harness on? Like, that's not the time.
That's not the time. Grab them by the collar, pull them back to safety, and then have the conversation. So, and that's what I love about Craig's point here is there is an appropriate time to use a different measure, right? There is an appropriate time to give people advice, direction, corrective insight when they're in imminent danger.
You didn't have to spell that.
We're not always in that level of danger. The other thing, like Craig points to, which I think is super, super huge, is when we're always advising and solutionizing and giving answers, we never get to the root of the problem. First of all, we don't even know there's a problem. We're just going straight to advice. And look at me, I've given everybody advice. And what happens when you don't get to the root of a problem, Jen?
Well, when you don't, then I mean, so when you're talking, what it made me think of, and made me, I guess, really realize when I'm having a dialogue with someone and I'm talking and I'm giving them advice, I'm doing all the talking. When I'm doing all the talking, then I'm not listening. And when I'm not listening, then I have no idea if even the direction that I'm going is anywhere close to what they need. So when I am just talking and you should do this and you should do this and what about this and have you thought about this? They're probably, if I did not listen and really take some time to understand where they are and what they want, you're just blowing hot air. Like they're not even listening to what you're saying. And you are trying to, I really believe people are trying to help. Like they think that they're helping, but they're not listening to you. So you're literally wasting your time.
Yes. Truth. And along with that, when we jump to solutions every time, we feel like we're solving problems.
Yes.
But we end up solving the same problem over and over and over and over and over again because we
take the problems away from them. And we take the problems away from them and we do not let them keep the problems so that they can get clear on what the problem really is.
You got it. Thank you, Jennifer Lacey. So Craig, thanks for that comment, because I think it's a discipline that, well, I'll say it this way. I know that the discipline of pausing on the solutionizing to better understand where the person is, what the person is thinking. Is it something they want help with? Is there something deeper that's contributing to the outcome that's on the surface? I can better serve the person in front of me. Instead of just jumping to solutions all the time. Megan, she's so open with us today. Megan, like, it's awesome because Megan's like, I hate being vulnerable. Vulnerability is scary. And like, here you are, like just being vulnerable.
It's all those emotional bungee jumps she's taken.
it don't go away. You got it. It's never going away. She says, as a habitual solutionizer, for me, it comes from a place of wanting to help solve the problem. I don't like when people are in distress and I want to help them get out of it. What do you think, Jen?
Well, it reminds me of you and I had a conversation about, and I want to, I'll bring it back to her comment, but like when I come to you with a problem and a real problem, okay. And I come to you again with a real problem and it's the same problem multiple times. And you've given me advice, you've given me thoughts, you've given me your feedback, and I keep coming back to you with the same problem. Am I looking for a solution? Or do I just need to have some dialogue with you? And I'm really not, I don't need you to help fix me. So when I think about it from that perspective, then look at it from the inverse. Can you pull Megan's comment back up? But can you look at it from the inverse on you want to help solve a problem You want to help them because they're not okay. But if we're not clear on what they actually need, then they're going to become a repeat offender, and then you're going to get irritated and aggravated, and then you're going to think you don't provide value, and then it's going to cause ripples of issues down the road. That's my thought.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I agree, right? And Megan, again, thank you for letting us pick on you here with this, because we don't want to see our friends struggling and suffering, right? Now, and this is a total Jesseism. There are some people in my life that they don't want to grow. They just want attention. And so they keep coming with the same damn problem so that I can, have you tried this? And what do you think of it? And they're like, no, excuse. Let me show off all my excuses and reasons to stay exactly where I'm at. They don't want help. I want to help. Like we'll say I have that codependent thing. Like for real, is a big thing for me. Like if you look at a lot of the really unhealthy relationships that I've been a part of, that came from me having the need to save the day and be the hero. So I would like unconsciously or subconsciously seek out people in crisis so that I could feel like I was helping them. The problem was those people, or at least the ones that I was interacting with, they're perpetually in crisis. And so it's like saving a drowning person that ends up drowning you. Like there's a way to do that. And they keep bringing you down, not on purpose, just because of the natural response to them being, with their head underwater. And so I totally feel that, right? Is I want to help people in distress, especially the people I care about. But for me, it's like, hold on, just pump the brakes. Do they even want it? Are they even ready for it? And so that's, for me, that's how I kind of manage it. And I'm going to straight up real example recently, my brother, if y'all haven't seen it, you need to go check it out. My brother Ernest just started his podcast channel, and he's posting him performing his poetry, which is freaking amazing. You got to go check it out. Anyways, I was looking at it and the sequence or structure of the way of the video. I'm like, oh man, if he did it this way, I think it would be like more captivating and it would draw people in. And so I immediately wanted to text him like, dude, you need to do. I'm like, wait a minute. He hadn't even asked, right? Like that's going to come across as judgy. I could lose points on that. And I was at the airport and I'm like, man, okay, how do I broach the conversation? So I called him so that there was tone in the conversation. And I asked him like, hey man, can I give you some advice or some insight about your videos? And so for me, that's like simple, but it's like my go-to. When I feel that compulsion.
Permission. Yes.
What do you think about permission, Jen?
100%. And you and I talk a lot about, and I know Josh is out there listening. He may be busy, but I would love for him to chime in too on like the situations that we put in and how we ask questions. And you and I, we dig into this piece, but like for you, that visible leadership, when you're on site and you're meeting new people, how can I support you? Like things that you're putting it back on them to not go, hey, you could do this better. And it goes back to your sweat equity, all the things that you do. And we talk about the permission piece. And I mean, there's so many levels. And I think that's what, every time when we think about getting permission from people, I think about all the levels of sweat equity and all the things you do, because it's like, hey, can I record you? Yep. Hey, can I give you some thoughts on some ways that maybe makes your work less hard? Hey, we have some ideas. What do you think? Like it's permission to be able to give people advice and to help people in our world make it better. But in their world, if it's all they've ever done and we don't ask that permission, then we're just judging and we're just telling them they're doing it wrong.
Yes. And you took the same approach, right? In deploying, building forward.
Yes.
Honor and appreciate what has been done.
Yes.
Don't come in like your way is stupid, this way is better.
Yes.
And that's kind of right?
When you're doing organizational transformation, I'm just going to give you all some cheat codes to what
Come
not to
on.
do. When you're doing organizational transformation, and I know Josh is out there and he was a part of this change, but the first time we thought we had a better way, we wrote a manual and said, you will now do things this way because it's better. And when you're rolling that out to a company and to a group of people that have had success, that have made a lot of money, and that have done everything that they've been asked to do and done it well, and now we have a better way, you are going to fail. I'm just going to say that. You're going to fail. And so when it didn't work, and then the next time we said, okay, we see a better way, but we can't do it that way. It was find some champions, some people that already believe in it. And then it was bringing people in and getting thoughts and getting, hey, what do you think about this? And then organically growing it, finding a group, letting them really understand it, and then them going to other job sites. Because I know I've heard even on Josh's job, like he had some trade partners, Brownie from Netta, that has been on a lot of his jobs. And so when they got to the job they are on now, and some of those trades that had never done daily huddles, never done weekly work plans, things like that, they were just like, what is this? And then Brownie, who's the trade partner, comes in and goes, man, this is going to make your life so much better. So it's just like being able to pull and, to let people share, but you're going to do this, and whether you like it or not. And it's like, it's that conversation.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to add, like, there are times when you gotta say, this is the way it is, and you get to choose to stay on the team and do it, or you find another damn team. Like,
okay. Every one of us get to choose, Jesse. Every one of us.
Right? Like, I want to be clear that this isn't make sure everybody loves the idea. Like, that's important. But at some point, like, bro, you got to get on or get the hell off. And that's just how it's going to be. Right or wrong, that's where I come from. So Nick says she gets annoyed first, like me. Thank you, Nick. It has a lot to do with the delivery, though. So great point, Nick, in that when you're solutionizing people, what's the delivery? Did they ask for it? Are you getting permission? Because the person that you're gracing with all your knowledge is likely going to shut down, especially if it's me or Nick, and you just wasted everybody's time. Now, there's an important question out here, Jen.
Okay.
Brought to us by our blue heart, Mr. Frank Gustafson. Can solutionizing feed into learned helplessness?
Ooh, that's he's bringing it this morning.
He ain't playing, man. What do you think, Jen?
Well, my first thought is, in this whole conversation, and I think it leans into this, is the firefighter. The firefighters, the way you look at it, if you look at it from a firefighting story of like fighting fires, and you have someone that you are going in to help, there's a building on fire, and your job as a firefighter is to go help. For me, I go in my mind and I ask the questions, and then eventually I have an opportunity to ask them, are they a victim of the fire, or did they start the fire? And for me, depending on, and not calling them out like you started the fire, but if I know that what happened here and what we're trying to fix is something that you intentionally did or even unintentionally did, but you did it, it's a different conversation than I'm here to help make it better. I'm here to find a solution so that you're not suffering so much. And it's a dialogue that, to me, it goes into that. Am I setting the fires? And ask yourself, if you're out there setting the fires, is that the learned helplessness? Is that you're setting yourself up to be able to come and be fixed, and you're a victim, and this is the way it is, and I live in this place, and it's not fair, and all these things? Are you living in that space, or is it learned helplessness? Because then, like, that's just perpetual. That's not going to go away until somebody stops that issue.
Yes, 100%. Look, even Steve Martin says, "Ooh, maybe that's an after-party discussion opportunity." Good point. So, folks, I want to know what everybody thinks. So, everybody out there in the Omniverse, let us know, what do you think? Can solutionizing feed into learned helplessness? And so as you're answering that question, I want to go, Miss Norma. She's dropping value in the comments.
Of course she is. They come and they just show up. Craig and Norma are just showing up.
I'm playing. I like it. She says, from a strengths perspective, people who are high in empathy and harmony are drawn to want to help and fix with good intention. Just a little self-awareness and self-regulation can help us stop solutionizing. Thank you, Norma. Hell
Yes,
yeah, for real. I am 100% in agreement or in support of the idea that solutionizing feeds learned helplessness. And I'm going to give an example of me being that. And also I want to make a confession and help people understand, like, I'm not coming from a like judgmental solutionizers or dummies and they're less evolved. Mm-hmm. I'm a solutionizer and like I get worse the more personal it is. So Ernest, you're out there, you already know. My brother Renee, if Renee's watching and if my mom was watching, she'd be letting me have it right now. Like when I'm in my family unit, that's when I do it. And it's like an out-of-body experience. I'm like, Jesse, don't stir the pot. Nobody asked you for your advice and your thoughts and how to better handle that situation. And my mouth doesn't, I'm creating problems for me. And so in my personal life, the solutionizing, I just can't help it, right? Like, and I try hard, but man, it's hard. Now, in terms of building learned helplessness, the way I've seen it, the way I've created that was in the workspace. When I did like real work, I had a real job. I was leading teams and I always had the answer and I always had the best way to do things. And I was always helping people. And what ends up happening is I never gave them the opportunity to even finish their thought or their question. I never gave them, like, I just immediately said, oh, do this. This is what you should do. Make this happen. This is how you do it. And so eventually what happened is I disconnected them from their agency. And they just said, why should I even access? They didn't say this, but this would happen. They stopped accessing their critical thinking because why waste that energy? Jesse has all the answers anyways. He's not going to listen to me anyways. And so then they bring all their freaking problems to me because of the way I was interacting with them, learned helplessness. And then I'm pissed off. I'm like, man, why do I have all these freaking scrubs around me that can't make a damn decision for themselves? Maybe, Jesse, it's because you solutionize the hell out of them. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Jen?
Well, 100%. And so using your example, and I'm going to give you credit because when you do sometimes you have in your mind a solution, you start with almost asking for permission, which for me has been very valuable, but you sometimes even preempt it like, hey, I have some thoughts. This may sting a little. Do you want to hear them? Mm-hmm. And so again, you are letting me know, hey, I've got some ideas and something that could help. You may not like the way it sounds. Do what you want to hear them. So it's that permission and letting people know. And so thank you for that, because I appreciate it, because I always want to hear it, but at least it prepares me for what I'm about to hear. And so the other one is when people come to you, and in your mind, whether you're a solutionizer or you're an empathetic person, whatever those are, if that is what you think, you put yourself in that box. I'm going to challenge you. If someone goes and says, I need help with this, or, hey, I'm struggling with this. If you will, in your mind, force yourself to ask 5 times why, what, how, like ask questions 5 times before you give a solution. Whatever that 5th question response is probably will be so far away from where you would have started that it could easily, 1, we know, help them get clear on their problem, but 2, they may already have the solution
in them. Yes.
Answer. And it's just 5 questions. Like when they come to you, like if Jesse, you come to me and you have a problem, like, oh, tell me more about this, or okay, why is that bothering you? Or, well, how did that help? How did that get you here? Like any of those type of things, 5 questions. They're not going to think you're not listening because every question is geared on how they respond to you. Then at the end, then you may see that they are distraught and they are not okay. But you also may see that they go, oh, and how many times have we been in those conversations, even in emotional bungee jumpers, where it's like, oh, I see the problem now. Oh, I know exactly what I need to do. But they were so jumbled up in their own head, they couldn't even get clear on what the problem was.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there we go. That's my thought.
Questions. Ask curious and interested questions. Default, right? That's the like you said. Hey, can I share an observation with you? Those are the words that I use. So, folks, if
Yep.
you when you hear me ask you that, there's something
He's about
coming.
to drop it. He's about to drop it.
Oh man, so Ernest, thank you, Ernest. He's this is serious. He has a question, and I love this. It's perfect setup. When one does not appreciate solutionizing, he's talking about me. What is their motive to sharing their difficulty? And that's important. That's important there. And then, does the sharer of the problem have a responsibility to preface their sharing with "I want help" or "I want to complain, vent, or be heard"? What do you think, Jen?
Well, yes, but I think you have a question that I think we talked about, a question that helps people ahead of time, or even helps us ahead of time on like, do we even need to go there? And I think we talked about like what like when we it's like great segue, Ernest. Thank you so much. But how do you signal to people that you are looking for advice?
Yes.
And on the flip side, how can you signal to people that you are in a place that you can provide it, but do they want it?
Yes.
And so for me, when I'm in conversations, and Maria's a great one because she and I get to talk a lot, but it's, what do you need help with?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's simple to me because sometimes it's like, I don't need help with anything, or I just need to get clear on like, am I going in the right direction? Or, hey, I just like, tell me I'm like stupid, or I'm like crazy, or like that this makes sense. Like sometimes they just need that person. But like when you ask them, what do you need help with?
Yep.
And you may have to ask some follow-up questions, but sometimes you get super clear really, really fast on like, why did they call, or why are they venting, or why did they even ask you, tell you these problems? You get real clear. Nothing. I'm just frustrated. Wonderful. Tell me more.
Oh man, so see, Ernest lit a fire. We got Lance Trade Partner HQ coming in. He's a hashtag dang it. Thank you for that. That's amazing. Thank you. Call out to our loving friend, buddy. Ernest with the question that hits home. And then Miss Maria Martin, she says there's a difference between talking something out with someone, not listening, and solutionizing. And it may be similar to something you experienced, but it's not your situation. I think that's slang for situation. Maybe not. And so I'm going to go back. Like, yes, Jen. And here's the deal, Ernest, and for everybody else, because this is a super awesome question, right? Is when does not appreciating solutionizing, when one does not appreciate solutionizing, what is their motive for sharing their difficulty? And that's where it all begins. Am I sharing a difficulty? Right? Like, and I've had this happen too many times and it drives me crazy. Get on a call. Hey man, how's it going? Oh, yeah, blah, 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 kind of chit chat. What you been up to? What's new? Answer the question, because we're just talking, and then the solutionizing starts. Right? Man, how was your day? Or how you doing this morning? Man, I'm a little tired. I didn't get a lot of good sleep. Oh, what you should do, you need a weight blanket. Like no. And so there's a fine line, maybe not a fine line, but I want to be clear, like, because I'm sharing something, or rather I'll say it this way, when solutionizing is its most offensive to me is when we're just having a casual conversation and you are compelled to give me advice and make suggestions. That's the time when it's like, bro, I didn't even like I'm responding to your question. And now like, I feel like you're setting me up to show me how smart you are. I don't care. And I'm not talking at Ernest. I'm talking about people.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like it's just casual conversation. Oh, you should read this book and you should listen to this podcast. And have you tried this? And like, man, what? Calm down. Like I wasn't. So back to Ernest's question is, we need to be clear. And that's something that I work on hard. And you've pointed to, Jen, is like, do you want help with this? Mm-hmm. Are you sharing this Are you looking for support? Are you just trying to vent? So to the second part, or to Ernest's second question, I think there's two separate things. If I'm a solutionizer, I need to understand that and say, wait a minute, are they asking for that? Right? If I'm a problem owner and bringing situations to people that solutionize, I also have some responsibility to say, hey, I don't need your advice. I'm just venting. I just need to bounce something off your head. I don't need to be told what to do. I just want to complain and bitch and moan a little bit. And Jen, you and I've had these conversations. Like, Jen, can I just complain for a little bit? Because I don't want advice. Like, I know what I'm going to do. I got it. I just want to complain. I just want to get it off of my head. So I guess in summary to Ernest's questions, plural, it's both. As the problem owner or the individual that doesn't appreciate solutionizing, it is helpful for me to be clear in that I'm not looking for advice. We're just talking smack here. And for the person that is compulsively solutionizing, it's good to ask, like, what do you want out of this conversation? Are you looking for some advice, or are we just talking here? What do you think, Jen?
No, I know we've got some great comments over there and I want to bring them up, but I do want to ask you a question because this sparked another thought in my head. Is when we talk about solutionizing in our context, it's about there's a problem that someone's trying to fix, whether it needs to be fixed or not. But what is like, okay, and I'm going to talk to you specifically because I know that I do this to you. And so I want to know your thoughts and how it makes you feel. So you come to me and you're just venting. You're talking about sleep. Okay. I didn't get good sleep. I this and this and this. If we're having this conversation and I'm not trying to fix you, but I go, oh my gosh, let me tell you about the time that I didn't get to bed early. And then is that another angle or another way that people can give it, not so much give advice, but like take the conversation away from you?
Yes. 100%. Okay. Yeah. For me, I call those toppers.
Okay.
They're going to top. Yeah. They're going to top every situation that I got. Right. Like, okay. Man, I flew home from Dallas. We had a delay. There was the delayed flight. Before I even finished pissing and moaning or telling my story, oh, let me tell you about the time 12 years ago when I was like, yes. Oh, okay. Oh man, I had some freaking amazing barbacoa tacos. Oh man, barbacoa? Let me tell you about, like, I don't like talking to those people.
Isn't that this? I mean, it's not unsolicited advice, but I feel like it falls in the same bucket.
It falls in the same bucket for me in terms of severing the human connection.
Yeah, yes.
Right? It falls in the same bucket for me in that my assessment is this person cares more about themselves than they do me. And because I'm such a gifter, I want to gift them more time with themselves and not me. Right? Like, if I'm like the toppers, man, it talk about sports, talk about fishing, talk about promotions, like, it doesn't matter. They will not even let you finish your statement, finish your thought, and they're going to come over the top. Now, what's interesting is, because I've had these conversations with people like, wait a minute, why do you always do that? Like, do you want to compete? Because if you want to compete, let's freaking race. Like, let's prove it. And like, most of the time, people are just trying to relate. Right. And this is an important point. And the reason all of this is important, people, is because when you're aware of this and do things to manage it and get clear about what the hell you're doing, is because you will have deeper and more meaningful connections with the human beings. It will equip you to better serve the men and women in front of you all the time. And so I've asked people, why do you do that? Why do you have to come over the top? And they're like, no, man, it's just like, I've been there. I want to relate. Like, oh. So it's kind of this, like, okay, I kind of get it. You want to relate. Well, how about you relate after I finish, please? Does that help, Jen?
No, it does. And it's the permission piece. If your default, I'm just telling you, it doesn't matter what people are coming to you. If your default is the first thing you do is ask a question, Like, even if in your mind, you already know, you think where the conversation is going to go, even if they are like, I am struggling, I am hurting, I just need to vent, whatever it is. And then when your first response is a question, it lets them, it keeps the connection. It lets them know you're listening. And it will, I'm going to say 100% of the time with me, Jesse, but I can't claim that for everybody. It always gives me more information.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that I then am able to connect more with whatever it is that they're having the conversation with me about.
Yes. Yes. Oh, so you mind if I jump in? There's some freaking monster comments.
We have so many good ones. I want you to bring them up. Yes, for sure.
Okay. So Ian dropping bombs. He says, it depends. Some people want to fix their problem. They still have to go do it and own it, but it's much more powerful when they come to the solution and own it themselves, right? Like to the learned helplessness, right? Sometimes just you got to let them bang their head and help them get there.
Yeah, that's how our kids learn to walk and ride bikes and all the things like that, right?
Yup. Craig says, and I love this, back to your point about ask a question first. If the person is facing some challenges, I've discovered two things that help. I sit on my hands. Number one, sit on your hands. It stops him from advising before listening. And then he asks, what have you tried so far?
Yes.
Simple.
Because sometimes, right? Sometimes they'll go, well, nothing, because I don't know what to do. Okay, well, that's a starting point.
You got it. Yeah. And I'll add, folks, if y'all want like super tactical, super easy cheat codes, the book, The Coaching Habit, has a lot of different scenarios, but it gives you like specific questions. Use these questions so that you can stop solutionizing. They don't use the word solutionizing, but that's how it translates in my head. We got Lance again says, Toppers went from catching a trout to a megalodon. Right? Like, come on, man. Can we just be cool?
Yes.
And then Josh Young, I love it. He says some of the reality is that most people, and I'm going to dive in on this one if you'll let me, especially craft workers in our world, are not used to being brought in to offer their solutions, advice, and experience. Being creative to make people feel comfortable enough to bring ideas to the table is key.
Okay, so you get to dig in because you got to watch this. You got to see this in real life based on Josh and his job site and stuff like that. So what are your thoughts on that?
So here's my thought, like, amen, Josh. And so number one, like, this is just further evidence that Josh is my type of people. And excites me even more about all the videos that he's going to be putting out at least twice a week is what I heard, of the intangible, amazing things that he does. And, it's interesting because the work that I'm focused on right now is the sweat equity improvement. And how do we make work better for the people doing the work? What's underlying that is it's a way to help our craft workers reconnect with their agency. And what's funny is a lot of times when I introduce people to this thinking, which Josh is not that type of person, this is how Josh functions, right? He's got all kinds of programs out there that drive interaction, that create community, that access the creativity of the craft workers on his site. But when I'm introducing it to other construction professionals, their usual typical responses I get is, why can't they think for themselves? They're just doing it on purpose. They're just lazy. They're just riding the clock, right? Which, weak sauce. If you're a leader and that's your response, you have no business being in leadership, right? Maybe you're a good manager and go stay in the office if that's all you got. But we forget, and Josh is pointing to it, right? Craft workers don't typically do that. And I know why. Well, I know one of the reasons why, because even me, when I was a foreman, and one of my guys, Noah, if you're out there, I'm going to just give you credit because I know you're going to jab me with something. When they would come to me with an idea that would make the work easier and more productive, like it wasn't just about comfort, it was also about production. You want to guess what my response was, Jen? Like, freaking stop complaining. There ain't no mamas here. Get your ass back to work.
Yes.
Right? Like, or if they had a good one, like too many times that happens when our people, the people out there doing the work, have an idea, we shut it down and say, shut up, stop whining, go back to
If it
work.
ain't broke, then why do we? Yes, that part. Yes.
Is largely the attitude out there in the field. Craig, I bet you know exactly what we're talking about, especially as a safety director. Now, let's just say I heard a really great idea. And I said, oh man, that is a good idea. Shut up and get back to work, but I'm going to do something with that idea.
But I'm going to go take credit for it, right? Or I'm going to go do it, and I'm not going to give props to anybody. And that's, again, and you know, Josh is so good at not just listening, but also like elevating his people and shining a light on them and letting them have a space to be able to, you know, to see their value. And it's just, I mean, calling out those people out there that are out there in the field, and you have your people, like how are you creating those spaces for them?
Yes. And let's say I take all the credit, I take it to my project manager and say, hey, there's this idea. If we got these cordless torque wrenches, they don't say, man, that's very innovative. Let's try it out. They say, it's not in the budget.
How much is it going to cost?
Right. Now, my point, like these are real things that happen all day, every day that contribute to craft workers not sharing their ideas, their innovation, their experience, because throughout their career on a daily basis, they get told, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about, put your head back down and go do the job. Now, one thing that Josh does that I think everybody, super simple, super power, it's simple in practice, but it takes real discipline and real commitment to the human beings out there. He's got a suggestion board, an idea board, where anybody can go and write down ideas or suggestions to improve the experience on site. I'm going to say this. If all you do is have a board and you do nothing with it, it's just ugly ass wallpaper. You're wasting space. What he does is takes the ideas, takes action on the ideas, and then reports back to the team. And now, for clarity, we're not saying he takes every whimsical idea and makes them all come to life. He reports back and says, idea A, C, and F, we're going to do these, and here's the plan. So people are like, oh, wow, they listened to me. And then ideas B, D, and E, like, we ain't going to do those. That's not realistic. We don't have the resources, whatever. And so the main point there is he's asking for the ideas. He's taking action on the ideas. He's reporting out about the ideas. And he's also saying, we're not going to do anything about these. That's the way to cultivate innovation. That's the way to access the ideas and the amazing things that our people out there, we don't have access to them because we're always telling them to shut up and just go do work. Anyhow, what do you think, Jen?
Well, Jesse, we talk about this, and again, we work in the lean space. So that is the space that you and I kind of connected, and we know Josh is in that space too. But we talk about a lot what you just said, and the ideas and the conversations, and just stop and just put yourself in a daily huddle, standing in front of the boards. And, we want people to talk about their work. We talk about constraints. We talk about things that we know are going to stop work, or that things we're worried about. And we talk about that, the importance of people connecting and being able to have conversations in that space. And if one person brings up one thing in that room and they like, hey, there's an issue here, and that person gets shut down. That person gets, that's not important. That's not a big deal. We'll deal with that later, whatever. And it gets shut down. They're not going to bring up another one.
Yep. Done for life. And I'm definitely that person, right? Like I'm super sensitive about like, oh, you didn't like, okay, good. I'm going to save my energy and put it somewhere else. Like you're not going to get any more from me. So there's a lot of techniques out there to make it happen. Ernest, oh, thank you, Ernest, is amazing insight from this talk. I really had to challenge my solutionizing as a go-to tool. Ian, yep, just make the work less hard. Come on, man. That's what we're here for. Rather, if you want to qualify as a leader in Jesse land, you got to make the work less hard. If you ain't making the work less hard, you're not even on the list to be considered in Jesse land. That may not be the
most
case.
Of you, yes, and most of you that are in a position to make the work less hard, just so you know, you're not doing the work. You're in a position to make it less hard for the people that are actually doing the work.
Yes, 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 yes. And so before I want to remind everybody it's 9:05 or 9:04. We got 11 minutes before we close, and we'll be in the after party. We're going to be doing the randomizer here in about 3 minutes. So drop a comment, thumbs up, like, heart, whatever, so that you can get into the raffle. And you will, when I click the button, then your name will see the and the winner is going to be given free access, VIP access to the cultivation crew and emotional bungee jumpers next week. And those of you that are current and active members, if your name were to get drawn, then you get to gift it to somebody so they can come suffer the same experience. I mean, enjoy the same amazing insights and growth that we have together on those calls. And I want to, this kind of ties again back to Ernest's comment. I want people to think about, leave it in the comments if you have an answer, but think about, how do you signal that you're looking for advice? Or how could you be more explicit on the intended outcome of the interaction, right? You know, I will tell people I'm not looking for advice, or, hey, I need to bounce some thoughts off of you so I could set the stage of the conversation. That helps me minimize and manage my issues. Now, the other side, when people solutionize me, I have a bad habit of like, you're dead to me, and you don't even know it. Like, I just killed you in my head. You're gone. That's not cool, right? That they don't know what they did. And another thing I do is I'll just say thank you. Somebody else,
let's talk about this. Yes, talk about this.
Right? Especially when I'm facilitating like some training and stuff, and somebody is showering me with all of their experience, I will say thank you, because we got to move on, right? There's no time anyway, but I do this often. And it's interesting because I coach people and suggest, like, when you receive advice or feedback, the appropriate response is thank you, because that keeps the conduit open so that you can continue. Anyways, but for these ultra solutionizers, when I say thank you, I feel icky afterwards.
Why?
And it's totally selfish reasons, Jen, because what in my head, I'm thinking, this scrub that can't even take the time to understand where I'm coming from, I just told him or her thank you. And that scrub is going to go pat themselves on the back and tell other people, oh yeah, I coached Jesse. And that fool ain't got nothing to coach me about. Like, I know it's just totally selfish, but what do you think about that, Jen?
Well, Jesse, okay, so I'm going to challenge you. So how do you respond when someone is giving you either unsolicited advice, or they're giving you advice that, one, you didn't need, that it's not going to help you grow? Like, what is the immediate response, or what is a way to like signal to them that, yes, you heard them, and so the acknowledgement, and then to let them know that, like, that you didn't just help me grow. You didn't help me in what I'm trying to do. How do you respond to that?
So the only answer I have that I can say that I've practiced, and it's with real, like, relationships that I've had, well-developed or mature relationships with people, is I'll say, that's not what I was looking for.
Okay.
Or what signaled to you that I was looking for
that part, yes.
Right? What did I do?
Because you're challenging them, right?
Yeah, like, what did I do that made you think I needed you to advise me at this moment? Right? Which is, that's real challenge, conflict. We'll say that that's a conflict point. But for real, they might inform me of something that I'm doing unintentionally so that I don't do it again. Right? That helps me adjust my behavior to mitigate the solution shanking. And I really want to know, because I don't like being solutionized. But most of the time, what it does is that person's like, oh shit, excuse me, Mr. Sensitive. Like, okay, good. I mean, mission accomplished, right? But it's really that, like, I'm not like, hold on, I wasn't asking for you to teach me anything. We're just talking here.
Well, I think it helps.
when they're like, oh, you should. I'm like, you're not helping me. I'll say that. Like, you're not helping. Those comments, that didn't help. What, like, and then it's like, ooh, they kind of step back. So anyways,
so I have some comments based on what you said. So one, I'm a piece of advice based on something Jesse said. Don't should on people.
Yes.
So number one, if your first two words are you should, you're shoulding on someone. That is, so just like, don't let those come out of your mouth. The second is, Jesse, the way you started your response is in the spaces that where I have relationships with people, when it's a deeper connection than a passerby, than somebody that's coming and going and you may never see them again. Okay. I know I guess the worry is that they're going to go and feel like they can take credit for something. But I also want to, because my story is on the other side of someone that in the space of them giving, dictating, telling me the advice to a point to where my response could have been very emotional, or my response could have been very like I felt being attacked or whatever that was. Sometimes the only answer that you can give is thank you, because it can then stop whatever's happening. They feel they're validated, and then they can leave, and then you can reassess. And maybe it's a follow-up conversation. Maybe it's something that you need to do some self-reflection, whatever that is. I know I've been there to where I could have gone like, what made you think that I wanted you like that? That was not the space, because I know it would have elevated the conversation. It would have elevated to a not healthy place.
Yes. Totally. And like, I guess, folks, this is a complicated, serious, real human thing. Again, why are we talking about it? Because if you have the solutionizer gene, you may be undermining or losing credibility or severing the connection with other people. If you're aware of it, you build your awareness and start working on it, you can contribute to the growth of the people in front of you. It will improve the connection. If you don't like being solutionized, let it clear. There are methods in which to communicate. Hey, I don't really appreciate that. I like you, but you do this too much. You keep doing it. I'm not going to like you anymore. And it just helps us strengthen our relationship. So
pull up Ian's comments, and then I will talk while you're doing all the share of the, are you going to share the after party stuff? Or are you doing the randomizer first?
I got to do the randomizer.
Okay, do that first. And then I'll close it out.
All right, here we go. Randomizer.
Okay.
Let's go. We need like cool sound effect. Oh, Rachel!
I love it.
Back to back. She gets back to back months, Miss Rachel. Congratulations. Oh man, Rachel's the awesomest. She made the SQI workshop yesterday. She gangsta. Was it yesterday? No, the day before. She really killed it and made it an awesome experience for me. Thank you for taking care of me, Rachel, and congratulations on winning the randomizer. So I'm gonna bring Ian's.
Okay, yes, and then you're gonna share. Yeah, so Jesse's gonna share links. So on my page, on the No BS page, and then wherever else Jesse's putting links in, you can click the link and it takes you straight to the after party for us, which we usually just have a smaller group of people that you don't have to turn your video on. It is literally just voice. And we get to sit and kind of listen and ask some questions, but then y'all get to talk and share your thoughts and your takeaways from the live stream. So please join us if you can. Sometimes you can just sit, if you want to just sit in the audience and listen, but you also can come up on the stage and you can share some of your takeaways or some of your thoughts. And then usually, almost all the time, our next live stream usually comes from the conversations from the after party. So that is where we kind of get our next topic. And so Ian, I love this question because this statement, because this is where I feel I lean into the most, or I try to. It's like, hey, at the end of the day, they may have needed the interaction more than you. And sometimes all they are looking for is engagement. And so instead of taking it personally on, oh, they're trying to give me advice, or like sometimes that is the only way people know how to engage. is to be able to tell you something that they had experience with or where they think you should do something, because that's the only way they know how to engage. So assess, how deep is the connection? Are they just surface? Are they just passing through? Are they just one of those toppers? Like, assess a little bit, think about the situation, think about your engagement with that person. And also, they may be struggling. They may be struggling with something and they are very much not vulnerable. They don't know how to have the conversation, but they need help. And so as you're like asking questions, you're going to figure that out and help them be able to share a little more, or even get to the core of why they reached out and told Jesse that he needed to do something, or you should try this, Jesse, or have you tried it? Like, it could just be they needed Jesse to be able to engage with him. And they needed Jesse to have that conversation. And that solutionizing suggestion was just their way to make a connection with him. And so it's some of those things we don't think about because we're so knowledgeable of all of these levels of things that we sometimes don't stop and think about. That doesn't mean everyone else is. And sometimes that one little reach out or that advice giving is just their way to try to connect with you to be able to have a deeper conversation. Thoughts?
I concur. Like, human connection is how it's healing. We need it more than we've ever needed it before. And so please, if I shine the light on your solutionizer tendencies, that doesn't mean I hate you. Practice with me. Let me know, hey, Jess, I want to practice on my solutionizing. Like, I want to do less of it. Awesome. So that we can have that conversation and we can have deeper, more meaningful connection. Yes. And if you're reaching out to somebody and you don't want to trigger the solutionizing, be clear, like, hey, I just need some contact right now. Right. Mm-hmm. I just need, ask for permission. Hey, is it okay if I give you some advice or my perspective on some things that you did or didn't do? Like, just be as explicit as you can. No, and check yourself. Is the advice that you're giving about you or the person in front of you? Because if it's about you, you're losing connection. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Yeah. Who is the advice about? Is it about you? Is it about them? Start there. And I think you keep ticking away at that, things will get more gooder for sure.
Yes.
Awesome. So we're going to sign off, and I need somebody to volunteer and be the hall monitor, because I'm not going to be on this live stream or the after party, because I'm going to go twist some young college minds here at UTSA. And so I need somebody to take notes. If Jen's talking smack about me, I need somebody to back me up. And if not, I love you guys. We'll see y'all next time. Peace. Later.